this series will look more in terms of defense like the Boston series, the grind of that series. It will be heavy. There'll be a lot of hitting. And it's both teams play a hard gap game. So it shouldn't be easy to move the puck from one end of the ice to the other. What's that, a $50 fine? Or do you guys just buy lunch? You used to be just had to buy lunch for everybody. So I'm thinking hot dogs. Let's not get crazy with it. Just, yeah, hoagies, whatever you guys like. It'll look different, but both teams, you know what? Everybody that's left has half a team in the training room with bumps and bruises and things that they're dealing with. So to get 3 or 4 days, that's Christmas.
You've talked so much about your team and I guess joked on national TV that you're just having coffee behind the bench. You're not even coaching there, running it.
And swearing.
That's right. But what has it been like for you here in South Florida over the last week, last month? Have things changed for you just being out and about?
Well, you're not really out and about, right? Like you're this time of year. In some ways, it's way more work, and then in some ways, it's a lot less. You're not preparing for another team, but you kind of live hotel, rink, and home. So you're not around. I opened up my garage there after the series and took the garbage out, and 4 people walked by and said, "Hey, congratulations." So that would be like the first time. I didn't know them, but my wife knew them. I didn't know who they were, but it's not, I haven't had a lot of occasion to kind of get away from it, and I'm not looking to, right? You're at the rink, you're at home, and you're all dialed in on what you're doing, but it's awful nice walking outside, blue sky, the temperature that it is.
As far as that, the recognition, much different than Winnipeg, though, right? I mean, where everybody knew you.
Yeah.
It's been a different year that way.
Yeah, I mean, I spent about 10 years in the Canadian market. It's a different thing. And all of them are different. Toronto and Winnipeg are completely different experiences. Passion for the game is as intense in both places. I feel good. I feel like I get to enjoy this now, right? I like the anonymity of being able to walk around. And people are great no matter where you are. Even in those Canadian markets, they're always really respectful to your family time. And especially I had young kids for the most part when I was up there. They're always really good about it. I'm just not out much.
Now
Got no friends. It's the other way I have no friends is basically what I've just admitted to.
You have no life.
There you go.
Looking at now that we've had this week off, and now you guys are getting on a plane here, you're going to Raleigh. I mean, do you sense the building up to?
You could feel it today on the ice. Everybody's just wants to go, right? You get in the rhythm of it, and you just want to go and play hockey games. So we're all happy there's no more practices and we can get after it again. But we needed the rest. We did. There was a cost to our team. I won't speak for the other series, but you run 10 games into the 10th game of that series, and all physical, high cost to our team. So we needed the rest.
Paul, what kind of changes do you think Ekblad has had to make to his game? Has he had to sacrifice it all to play your style of hockey over the course of the year?
You know what? He's had a really interesting year to the point that I feel he's peaked now. He's peaked now into his game. So his numbers are down, but his impact on the game is much higher than it was because he and Forsling draw the number 1 pair, right? They're playing against the other team's very best. He's come on and off the power play, and it hasn't affected his game, but goes back on the power play against Toronto and scores an enormous goal, right? Like the kind of goal you talk about for the whole season. That was huge for us to get our power play goal there to start that game. So I think he would be, you know, what you would see as this team evolves, a lot of the high number guys, their numbers may come slightly down as they develop a true appreciation for how important it is to put as much energy into defending. Now, I'm not saying that he didn't do that he didn't care about defense, but the team was built heavily and skewed heavily to offense last year, offense generation. What the challenge is for some of those guys is then to value their game even when their points aren't there. And I would say that's also true of fans, right? This guy hasn't scored in 4 games. Who cares, right? You won't remember this name, but I'll give you an idea. We're going into the Stanley Cup final, and Rod Brind'Amour played on the team, and I got a question, you know, what are you going to do without Sami Kapanen scoring? He was our high-scoring winger, and he hadn't scored much. Well, who cares? Right? We just won the last 3 rounds. Why would we care if he ever scores another goal? Just do what you're doing. Somebody else will score. So the offense then, it doesn't need to be Barkov scoring. Nick Cousins can do it just fine, and we're just as happy.
one more quick unrelated thing. Any of the under-the-radar free agent signings that Bill made last summer or waiver claims, any one of those guys sort of exceeded what you thought they might be? Who comes to mind?
All of them, Josh Mahura, right? So we take him, and he doesn't come out of the lineup. So this is a guy that was fighting for his hockey career to become not even necessarily the first step to become regular, to get in enough games in the season that maybe next year somebody else would consider you a regular. He comes in, doesn't miss a game. And now where his game is today to where it was at the start is night and day. And that's like all the player, right? The confidence, the difference in a confidence in a player. And it's not the coach tapping you on the pads and saying, hey, you're really good. It's not that. It's the real stuff in the room where you put enough shifts together when you've hit somebody, when you broke a puck out, when you blocked a shot, you did something hard that you get recognition by your teammates. That's how they build their confidence. They know they did something right. And he's the guy that pops in that he's exceeded expectations for sure.
Paul, just quickly on Aaron Ekblad. He wasn't out there today.
Yeah.
And
Everybody's good for tomorrow.
I want to ask you about just starting on the road. You've talked about it a couple of times, just I guess the comfort level of being able to go out on the road stress-free. So you're doing it for a third straight series. You've also talked about routines of the playoffs.
Right.
Just round three, starting on the road again, just kind of where's the
Yeah,
comfort
well, we
level
would
at?
love to have the option not to, but we didn't earn the right, right? Like, given a choice, you probably want to start at home because that meant you finished ahead of the team you're playing. That's not going to happen to us. But then all of the great things, I think, about being on the road are even more magnified in the playoffs as you move on. Because right now, it's the closest room it's ever been. Every day you have some success, you win the first round, man, they're happy getting on the plane going to Toronto. Well, now we've run two. So they are a tight group. So we have lots of fun on the plane. We have a team meal tonight when we go in like we do every start. So the road becomes a great place for them to reconnect. You know, they spent 4 or 5 days at home. Now they get back on the road. Everybody's excited to get on the plane.
Couple of things. I think it was the game you lost here against Toronto. I think it was 3-1. You came in, and I think you made a comment about how nobody picked us anyway in the series or whatever it was.
It was probably one of them guys. But I think I was trying to, well, I know exactly what I was trying to do. There are only extremes in dealing with the Toronto media. And it has nothing to do with the Toronto media. It is the pressure that's on that team. Every story is extreme, and that starts in training camp. So we lost a game. And at no point did anybody say, well, if you just play your game, you should beat Toronto 4 straight. Like, so the feeling that I was getting from the media at that was catastrophic. Clearly the sign of Armageddon. It's over for you. That was the direction. That's where I felt it was going. So I just wanted to kind of put it in a little the same perspective that I would give my team.
But along those lines, what I was going to ask was you know that most of the experts had different opinions
Right.
about round one and round two, and they probably do about this round as well.
I'm not saying they were wrong.
No, but does that matter? I mean, is that when you're playing for a Stanley Cup? I can't imagine you have a
No.
whole lot more motivation. But does that matter to the room at all?
No, not
us
even a
against the
little
world
bit.
thing?
The making the playoffs is way harder than people think. But I understand when you miss, for those 3 or 4 teams that miss the playoffs, a lot of times people get fired for that, right? So I get that, the extreme of it. But when you cull half a league, those other 16, Boston was the best team by far going into that. But the gap between Boston and us wasn't as big, I don't think, as they were deeper for sure. But that gap of the top 16 means that if one of those teams from, let's say, the bottom 8 can get 1 or 2 pieces of their game going, they can close that gap. So we all have talented players. Nobody ever said, hey, you don't have enough high-end talent on your win. It was all about depth. But our depth's been really, really good for us. So there are 2 or 3 pieces of our game that have kind of closed the gap. So we feel as confident as you can be. I mean, analytically, Carolina's the best team in the league. That's just a fact.
One quick follow on a different path. You watched Keith Tkachuk for a long time, obviously. Are there things that Matthew does that remind you of his dad? And have you ever thought about how tough it is when your father is one of the all-time best to do it, and you try to follow in that path, the pressure that comes with
And then there's
that
2
name?
of them, right? Yeah. For sure. I mean, I can only project an idea on what it must have been like The first piece was, it would be really hard if you weren't as gifted as those two young men are, because it didn't, like they're playing in the NHL, they're great players regardless. I do think they must have had fantastic mentorship, because I've seen him move around the room from day one, and he's a great pro, but he's a great person. It's the way he treats all the people that he doesn't have to treat with the respect he does, the bus drivers, the trainers, all of those people. And I'm not lying to you. Like, I think we got an exception, but over 28 years, there's been some asses in there, right? So I wouldn't come up and say, oh, he's the greatest guy ever. I'd just say, he's a real good guy to somebody. Somebody likes him out there. I haven't met that person yet, but you know what I mean? I wouldn't lie to you about it. He's an exceptional guy. And even over the course of the year, he's kind of matured, and he wasn't immature, but he's just grown into that leadership role. And he's one of those guys that can touch everybody in the room, whether it's the fourth line guy or the extra guy. He's got he plays a gritty game. He also plays a very highly skilled game, so he can connect with everybody in the room. The one thing I would say in terms of watching it, there's a heaviness to both of them. If you walk by Matthew and you slap him in the back, it's like a bull. Like, he's just heavy, right? And when he runs into people, sometimes he's not carrying a lot of inertia, but boom, he's just got to wait. He gets to the net front. Both of them were impossible to control.
Paul, I just want to ask you, the Heat shirt on, just what's it been like kind of running parallel, these two teams, 2 8 seeds, making it to the conference finals?
So that would be back to the question of being out in public, or where people think that's really cool here. I do too. I don't know anything I know as much about basketball as I do about goaltending. I know it's fun to watch. I'm not sure what the hell they're doing. But it's 5-on-5, right? I get that. But there's a connection now between the two teams through sports fans down here. So there's hockey fans that are probably like me, but now they're dialed into that because it's just a great story, and it's fun to be a part of, right? We're both going to try to do our half. Like, wouldn't it be unbelievable in 2 weeks if we were both still playing? Craziness in this town, right? That's why George and I are going in on a sports bar together.